Hello YouTube! Today we got another project on the Firebird. I decided to upgrade my headlights to some Dapper Halo headlights. So we're going to go through that process. First I'm going to show you what I got on the Firebird, and then we're going to go through the replacement process. So currently I got stock style halogen headlights, and years ago I did a hidden turn signal. I used a motorcycle turn signal, LED turn signal, and mounted it on an L bracket, hid it between the headlights, because the factory parking light turn signal on the Firebird I just think is not very attractive. To me it looks like it was just something they slapped on at the last minute because they had to, and it just really always looked out of place, and I like the clean look a lot better. And that was one of the reasons too for getting the Halo headlights. I got the classic switchback, so it'll switch to the amber blinking turn signal light when you activate that. I don't care so much about the circle halo lights, but I wanted the integrated turn signal lights, and also I wanted to get the headlights that look like they're black when they're off. So unfortunately, because I have this aftermarket grille and it bolts up, or it screws onto some brackets that are bolted to the front bumper assembly, there's no way to get these headlights out realistically without taking the entire bumper assembly off. So I'm going to go through also how to take off the front bumper assembly. May as well make this a 2-for-1 video, show you how to take off the front bumper assembly. It's actually fairly simple, and I think I'll probably give these grills a new coat of paint. They kind of take a beating from road dirt and bugs and stuff. I'll give them a new fresh coat of paint while they're off. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to take off the whole front bumper assembly, replace the headlights, wire everything up. I'll show you how I do all that and get everybody started. First thing I do, I want to show you all though the new Dapper lights. I'm pretty excited about putting these on. So these are Dapper Lighting. These are 575. I got the low beams and the high beams. I got the black with smoke covers. I paid for them to install the covers. They went on pretty well. There's a little bit of wrinkling around the edges, but that's expected, I suppose, when you're taking a flat decal and laying it on top of a domed surface. You're gonna have a little bit of excess material around the edges, and there's just not much that can be done about that. But so these are designed, it's just gonna be plug and play. It's got a pigtail on it that just plugs right in. These are the high beam side. It's got 2 prongs instead of 3, and it just fits right in the bucket. Then you've got the LED connections here for the ring light. So you got the white ring light and then the switchback turn signal. And these are just drop-in replacement, plug and play, nothing to it. It's actually a pretty simple process. Now I am going to wire up an individual separate switch for the halos. I don't want to use my parking brake switch because I don't want my tail lights on if I choose to have just the halos on. Like if I use them for daytime running lights or at a show or something, I don't also want my tail lights on. So I'm gonna run a separate switch, and I'll show you how I do that too. But I'm pretty excited to put these on. I think it's going to be a big change in the look of the car from having the standard looking glass white headlights to having these blacked out looking ones. They look pretty darn black when they're off, and then when they light up they'll be nice and bright projector headlights. So we're going to go ahead and get started taking this bumper assembly off so we can get these headlights installed. Okay, so to take off the front bumper assembly, it's actually a pretty simple process. In my case, I got to take this spoiler off. This is the Spoilers by Randy's spoiler. It's going to have to come off because this front filler valance panel here has to come off. So I'll take those 2 pieces off. Then it's just a matter of really, I believe, 6 bolts. There's 4 that go through the frame rails, and then there's just one here and this one here. Now the important thing when you're taking these out, if you're anything like my car, to get your gaps nice and straight and flush, you've probably got different sizes and shapes of washers in there and stacked up amounts. You really want to keep track of the order that they're in, because that changes your height, your pitch, everything. It might help to even scribe a little line with like an awl, or use a Sharpie or something, so you make sure you're putting things back in the same place they came out. Same thing when it comes to the frame rails. When you're taking those bolts out, you want to put everything back the way it was if you want to keep your lines nice and straight. Okay, so I'm getting really into this, taking the bumper off. In the past, I've taken the entire bumper assembly off, which including the big frame pieces that bolt to the frame. I decided this time that I'm going to try to leave the valance on, and I'm just going to take out these 3 bolts here on either side, and then the 2 up top that I showed you earlier, and just try to pull the bumper out carefully that way and leave the valance in place and leave the big heavy duty frame parts of the bumper in place. So we're working on that right now. Okay, I hit a snag. 3 of the bolts won't come out. Got a problem here. So these are like a panhead bolt that are supposed to fit in there, and they must be original. They came halfway out and got stuck. Now I can't get them back in or back out or out, so I'm kind of screwed. So I took the valance off, so now I'm gonna end up pulling off these 2 frame bolts that hold this frame assembly here for the whole bumper. I'm gonna have to pull it off on this side and then pull it off those same 2 on the other side to be able to pull the whole bumper off. Then when I get it off, I'm gonna have to cut these bolts off and just replace them with regular bolts, because those are absolutely stuck and now the holes are probably a little womped out. It is always something when you're working on this old stuff, you know what I mean? Got the 4 heavy duty bolts from the frame rails off. So now all that's left is this one and the one on the other side. Then this entire bumper assembly will just lift right off. You see, it's loose already. That's all that's holding it on. It's actually pretty simple to do it like this. I should have just done it that way from the beginning. Now I made extra work for myself. I got the bumper assembly out, so now I got to take the headlight buckets off to install the new headlights. This grille, it sure looks good, but what a pain in the butt. So you got 3 bolts, one here, and one down here. Sorry, that was one here, one there, and one down here. And then the headlight bucket will pop out and I'll be able to put the new ones in. That should be easy enough. Then I'll have to pop these grills out. I want to give those a paint job while it's out. I'm gonna have to cut these bolts off and put conventional bolts in instead of the panhead ones, because they're just they're all womped out. So I'm gonna keep on moving with this thing. Got the first headlight bucket out. Now you got to take the trim ring off. So the headlights are held in with these metal trim rings. Just gonna pull those off. Got these little tabs here that hold them in place. Got a Phillips head there, and there's a spring over here that holds it in place. That's for adjustment purposes. And it looks like this other tab has a flathead screw. So I got, it looks like a combination of flathead and Phillips head screws. Gonna pop those out. Then I'll be able to put the new headlights in. Okay, trying to test fit the headlight into the bucket. So it's got the 3 locating tabs, and it turns out I can only get 2 out of 3 to fit on both a high beam and the low beam. So if you look right here, it's kind of offsetting a little bit where it's supposed to line up at. I'm gonna end up having to notch out either the metal on the headlight bucket or cut out the plastic a little bit for the headlight for it to be able to fit in tight there. All right, I used a pair of side cutters and it just cut the plastic tab off a little bit, and now it fits in there real nice and snug, just the way it should. Okay, got them mounted in there. They popped on through pretty easy. They say tops on them, so that tells you which way it goes on the top. I had to cut those little tabs off like I was pointing out in order to get them fit inside the buckets, but now they're in there. I think they look pretty darn sweet. Okay, it's been a couple days getting back to work on the headlight project. So I got the headlights in the buckets. Now I'm gonna start looking at wiring. So we got an issue here where the wires come, I got 2 headlights. Each one of them has the headlight wires, no big deal, but then it's got the wires for the LEDs, for the halos, for the turn signal, and for a ground. So there's 3 of them on each of the lights, and they've got the plug connectors. The problem is the factory wiring is only 2 wires. So you got the purple and the blue. There, the purple and the blue. So there's only 2, and we've got 3 connections for each light over there. So these are both positive, and we're just gonna have a common ground, but I'm gonna have to tie each of those, so the 2 reds together and the 2 yellows together, and then connect them to the blue and the purple. So I'm not a big fan. I like the plugs, but because I'm gonna have 4 plugs for each of these 2 wires, that doesn't really work. The kit also comes with the little Scotch lock connectors. These little guys, not a big fan of these. They do an okay job in a pinch, maybe under a dashboard or something, but it's not something that I would want to use like exposed to the elements with a headlight that might get water or fog or who knows, snow even, blasting in there where it's exposed to moisture. I don't like these, so instead I'm going to use these other style. These are made by a company called Sopobi, I guess. So these are little connectors, or like a butt connector. They've got solder built into them, and you connect your wires. You slip the tube over, connect your wires, and then hit them with a lighter, or a little torch or heat gun, and it's gonna melt it like shrink wrap, and it's also gonna solder the joint together. So it makes a waterproof, really secure, tight, really electrically sound joint. So I'm gonna end up doing that for these connections, just for peace of mind and for a little bit better quality installation. Okay, here we go. I got the lights mounted into the buckets, got the buckets on the bumper, and it's time to lift the bumper into place. I took the grills off, repainted those. They were a little beat up. So now it's time to put everything in and start wiring it up. Hope that it all works. Got the bumper lifted into place, got it just loosely set in there. Don't have everything mounted down yet. The lights look super cool. Now I'm gonna start wiring them up. Okay, like I was saying earlier, the plugs weren't going to work because I have multiple wires that I need to connect together. I also don't like to use the Scotch lock pinch connectors. I don't think they're a very secure or waterproof connection, and I think they're open to corrosion and coming loose. So I like to use this style where it slides over the wire and then you heat it up. It's got solder in the middle, and then when you heat it up, it's like heat shrink tubing. So it goes down and it seals around the wire, and then the solder in the middle melts around the joint and it creates a solder joint. So it's real nice and secure. So I've already gone ahead here. I've got the 2 yellow wires from the LEDs. So the yellow wires are for the turn signal, and then the blue wire from the car is for the turn signal. So I fed them in to the tube, and now I'm gonna hit it with a lighter or a heat gun, and it's gonna heat it up. It's gonna shrink the shrink tubing, and it's gonna melt the solder and make a nice secure connection. Okay, there it is. I hit it with the lighter for about, I don't know, 20 seconds, and it made a nice secure, sealed up, sealed connection, and it's soldered together. It's gonna be a real nice, good, solid connection. So now I'm gonna seal up connect the red wires with the purple wire from the car, and then that'll be for the parking lights. And I'm gonna also wire those inside the car on an independent switch, so I can operate the halos without having to engage the headlight switch on the car. Okay, almost done. I got everything buttoned up here. Gonna turn them on in a few minutes to show everybody, but there's one last thing I wanted to do with it. I want to be able to turn on the halos without having the tail lights on and without having the engine running. So like if I'm at a show or something and I want to have the halos on, or if I just want to use them as daytime running lights. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install a little toggle switch under the dash. And to do that, I don't want to use the parking or the light switch on the car, because then the tail lights would be on if I had the halos on, and if I want just the halos without the tail lights, that would be a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the wire from the headlight switch to the front parking lights, and I'm going to install one side of the switch to that wire, and then I'm going to find a 12-volt feed from my fuse panel and install that to the other side of the switch, so that I can just control the halos with a toggle switch whenever I want them on, versus having to have the tail lights on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I got the toggle switch installed. Here's the toggle switch. So just flip that on, and the white halos will come on all by themselves. So they're independent now of the tail lights or the headlights, and they don't involve the headlight switch. So there's the halos. Pretty cool. And I'll flip over to my other camera and then show all the different modes and take this thing for a test drive, try to get my headlights aligned. I hope this video helped everybody out. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. Sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Bye.